No chaser. What comes to mind?
Unapologetically black. Black, capital A, capital F.
Welcome, Black with No Chaser family. All of you out there joining us on Black with No Chaser Radio, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We're so glad to have you tuning in today. I want to introduce our special guest, and right on time as we're celebrating the 50th anniversary of hip hop. This person, he has played a living legend. He has been a living legend and has played a monumental role to launch the careers of multiple hip hop artists and bringing the genre to the rest of the world. Mr. Alvin Jones, creator of BET's Rap City. Alvin, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us.
Candace, thank you for having me. It is a pleasure to be with you. How are you today?
I'm great. I'm great. You know, it's Monday. Probably shouldn't say that since it's being recorded, but it's Monday. It's a great day. It's a great day. I'm very happy to be joined with you today. I am a Rap City fan. I count myself a hip hop head. And just take us through, you're being honored during BET's 50th anniversary of hip hop celebration. There's a documentary being produced about your legacy. I mean, Rap City, to me, has played such a big role in helping to launch artists' careers, making hip hop relevant, not just here in the States, but around the world. Had a long tenure on BET from 1989 to 2008, I believe. So just kind of tell me, how does it feel? And, let's start with, where did the concept come from?
You mean for Rap City?
Yes.
Okay. To really tune in, it would have to be like the first day I was working for BET, September 17th, 1984.
Mm-hmm.
BET went from 20 employees to 40. So I was either employee 21 or employee 40, somewhere in between. And in high school, because I graduated high school in 1977, I wanted to have the first Black television network. I just knew, back then cameras were 60,000, the lenses were 15, but didn't matter. That was 1977, but I wanted to have this, I'm a young, Black male who's watching Good Times and the Jeffersons, and we're all about, we can be anything we can be. Our parents basically taught us that. So I want to have the first Black television network.
Mm-hmm.
Bob Johnson did, but Bob offered me a job. My first full-time job was working at BET. Mm-hmm. And so that first day, Bob clearly stated the mission. He said, my goal is to make BET the predominant source for advertisers to reach the African-American community. Mm-hmm. And what he was saying is, these people who have been marginalized and undervalued, in the words of my buddy Joe Madison, will now have a voice. They will be able to see themselves. They will be represented in a way that gives them dignity. So what I looked at was, with BET, how do we represent ourselves in a way that gives us dignity? And we were able to do that with Rap City. Video Soul with Donnie Simpson was the place everybody wanted to be. Everybody wanted to sit on Donnie's couch. I used to sit on Donnie's couch in between the videos just to sit on the couch, right? And then, they're like, yo, we can ready to go back and go live. You need to get your butt back up to the studio. Mm-hmm. Video Soul was the flagship for BET. And it was the way that BET was able to get credibility with the record labels. I remember we had to beg record companies when I first got there in '84, give us videos. They didn't think that Black videos were relevant back then. I had seen my first music videos back in 1979. I saw Fantastic Voyage Lakeside, All the Way with the Whispers and Atlantic Star and Stacey Lattisaw. So I knew there were videos there. But the thing was, how do we make the record companies see that there is a platform and that Black music is relevant. So now that you think about it, hip hop has kept the record industry alive. But what you do is you go back to 1984 when Bob created this. And the thing about it, we didn't know, people thought it was a fad. I didn't really understand hip hop until I talked to Prime, whose real name is Hans Dotson, Hans Beck Dotson, he'll tell you. But he was an intern in the sports department. And he's talking to me about hip hop. And everybody's like, man, everybody want to hear that. And I'm like, no, tell me about this hip hop thing. You know, what is this hip hop? And tell me about it. And because he was so passionate, I needed to listen to it. This guy is passionate about, tell me. And so we would put rap in video vibrations because, you know, video soul was, you know, that's the pinnacle. And that's where the advertisers were paying attention to. So, you know, video vibrations was like the developmental league, you know, but with that, Bob would go, oh, just give it to Alvin. He'll figure out something to do with it. But he trusted me. And so when I went up to New York for the new music seminar, I was talking to some of the rap artists, and they were like, well, BET doesn't play rap. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm the one that's playing. I'm playing the Fat Boys. I'm playing, who else were we playing? Curtis Blow and all the other folks that were there. But they didn't know, because in New York, you had Lionel Martin and oh gosh, the two guys that had Music Video Box. Yeah. Ralph McDaniel and Lionel Martin. So they were on in the afternoon, and we were a channel that was shared. So Video Vibrations came on after midnight. So they didn't see this, but they did see Video Soul because that was prime time. And they thought that we didn't play any rap. So I was talking to Hank Shockley with Public Enemy. And you know, New Yorkers are like rough and tough. And I'm like, you know, I wear a suit. You know, I was on the It's Academic team. I'm kind of a nerd. But before my parents moved to Glenard and Ardmore in Maryland, we lived over in Ward 7. So I lived between two projects, Eastgate and Salt City. So when you're in an apartment, you live between two projects, you can't be a punk. So I'm like, don't let this fool you. So Hank Shockley was Public Enemy, and he's like, well, BT don't play no hip hop. I'm like, what are you talking about, man? I'm playing hip hop. He's like, no, you don't. And you don't even play Dougie Fresh. I'm like, man, go somewhere. I just talked to Dennis, who's Dougie Fresh's manager. I want him to be a guest host. I don't want to hear it. We're playing hip hop. And so funny, Ice-T was right over here because Colors had just came out. And Ice-T was like, I ain't saying nothing, man. He's playing us. So I said, all right, I tell you what, since you don't think we don't play hip hop, we just going to do a whole week. And if it ain't hip hop, it's a commercial. All right. So, but we had arguments about stuff. And I'm like, I said, yo, man, if you think guys are just going to grab their Johnson and call women's the H&B words, I'm not playing this stuff. And he goes, you're being a guardian. I said, listen, man, at that time, that was 1988. So I had an 89-year-old aunt. My show. I said, I'm not getting a phone call from my aunt about nothing. But I did say, all right, I'm gonna prove it to you. We are going to do nothing but rap for a whole week. So back in the day, school didn't start to after Labor Day, not before Labor Day.
Right.
So we did, Candace, is we took the week before Labor Day, where everybody's home, and we just did a week's worth of rap. And I went to the promotions department and I said, hey, I would love to get some promotion. And we don't think it's worth it. Okay, fine, whatever. So we just did it. Boom. And you know, the ratings come out. That rap week that we did right before Labor Day in 1988 was the highest rated show ever on BET.
Wow.
They're like, whoa. So we wanted to do another rap week. And I figured the best way to do it is at a time when everybody's home. So I said, okay, you got the block between Christmas and New Year. So we'll do another rap week. But now we had a little more, you know, we had a little gravitas. So James Ebron was the vice president of sales for BET. And so BET's partners were TCI. They had 16%. HBO had 16%. And it was the folks that had Great Adventures. They had 16%. So Bob Johnson, and it was a smart move on Bob's part. And I got to tell you, I've learned so much about business and understanding things from Bob. So Bob had 52%. So he still had the majority. But he also had partners who it was in their best interest for BET to survive. So the sales department had moved out of the HBO offices into our own. And we were right across, we was on 52nd Street, 57. So
Mhm.
James Ebron said, oh, if you want to, you can shoot in our office. So this is a new office, brand new. He's given us his new office to shoot stuff. So one little office room, we had the TV and the setup, and then we had the whole area. Now it's a new office, so it doesn't even really have furniture. So we had all these rap acts. We had BDC, Boogie Down Posse. We had Fat Boys. We had who do we have? Sweet Tea, Shinehead. We had the Jungle Brothers when Q-Tip was with the Jungle Brothers. We had Audio 2 and Milk. We had who else do we have? We had, yes, a Kid and Play. We had all of these artists, MC Light. And what was funny is that we didn't have much furniture. So you've got all these artists just sitting down on the floor waiting to try to get in. And James saw it and he was like, oh, y'all gonna be here for a while? I'm like, yeah. He says, well, let me get you some pizzas and some sodas. So James used the credit card, got everybody pizzas and sodas, and everybody's sitting around. And it was, you didn't know that this was gonna just grow to what it was. And so I have to do a shout out to James Ebron because he supported that. We did another rap week between Christmas and New Year's. Boom, highest ratings in the history of BET.
Wow.
So 2 times we're doing rap week, and 2 times, you know, it's the highest rating. So then Johnny Gill joined New Edition. They put together that whole thing from Heartbeat. And Jeff Newman, who was the senior producer, oversaw that special. And that broke BET's ratings because, you know, it's New Edition. What do you think, you know?
Right.
It was Ronnie, Bobby. No, it wasn't Bobby, but it was Ronnie, Ricky, Mike, Johnny, and you know, Ricky and everybody. So, cool. So we decided we're going to do another rap week. This is rap week 3. And it is between that Easter break. Do another one. And this particular time, because this was 88. So I had just met MC Hammer. I would always go to the Super Bowl. So I went down to San Diego to Super Bowl. But anytime, because, you know, I was the unseen VJ with the organization. So anytime I went into a different city, I would always go by and visit the radio stations because they'd have you on, hey, it's Alvin Jones, unseen VJ. So I went to San Diego the next day, and this gentleman is going in to do a radio interview. So remember, back in those days, there were no rap stations. I think K-Day in LA was the only one that was a rap station format, but everybody else had what they call mix shows, meaning Friday night after midnight, Saturday night after midnight. That was the only place that you heard rap. So this young guy was coming in to do an interview, and it was actually MC Hammer. So I met MC Hammer January, it had to be the 30th, whatever the day after the Super Bowl, 1988. And he gave me a cassette of Feel My Power. And I still have that cassette that he gave me.
Wow.
So met him, seemed to be pretty cool. Then a video came in for Turn This Mother Out. Was it? Yeah. No, Let's Get It Started. And the video came, it was shot on video, so it wasn't on film like record companies do. And at first, Jeff Newman, who was a senior producer, was like, I don't think we should play this. It doesn't look good. I'm like, listen, I met the guy. He's real cool. And I said, plus, this dancing is straight up African because they were moving, right? So we played it. I saw him at the BRE conference, and I said, listen, I had a hard time playing this video, but I got it through, but you need to shoot it on film. So I want you to take a look at this. So back in the day, you see all the news that was going on in Beirut and places all over. I said, see how it's grainy? And then you go to the Red Lobster commercial, and it's all film and stuff like that. So I see Hammer fall, no, it was New Year's Eve of 88. So we're down in Jacksonville with Luke, who else was EPMD, LL, Ice-T, Public Enemy. It was this big New Year's Eve show in Jacksonville. And I get to the lobby, and Hammer says, yo, man, come out to the tour bus. And he showed me the video for Turn This Mother Out. And he explained to me, he said, I took in consideration what you said, and this is what I did.
Is it upsetting you or anything? Or?
Well, okay, it doesn't really upset me. It's just that I have an image to hold. Okay, so if I don't answer her back, people say, oh, Antoinette's scared, Antoinette's scared. So I'm answering her really.
Can you give us a little tidbit about that clip that we just saw right there?
Let me see more of that, because I'm trying to remember that one, because we've done so many. Go back to it. We can see it. Can we see it again?
Let's see. We're pulling it up. We're pulling it back up.
No problem. But as you can see, I got all these stories.
Yeah,
I got to do a book.
I was compared to Rakim. And being compared to a guy really like opened a lot of doors for me. Like I said, female
That's right.
rappers weren't rapping like, you know, me.
You know what?
What?
We're gonna shake, rattle, and roll. Can we do that?
Yeah, of course. Shake, rattle, and roll.
Roll. All right. Let's check out Antoinette. Shake, rattle, and roll.
Rattle and roll.
Shake, rattle, and roll. That was Antoinette. Antoinette, I know the first video we showed, Who's the Boss?
Wow. You know what was really interesting is like Antoinette and the real Roxanne Shante, MC Light, Queen Latifah, Moni Love. It was the fact that women had a voice also. That was important. You know, women have a voice also.
Yeah. But like, you know, the women rappers back then, like Queen Latifah, like I just remember them being so empowered, you know, and not being boxed into being over sexualized or any of this. Like it was really, they came from a place of, I have respect for myself and you're going to respect me too. And that's not a dig at, you know, the other like women rappers out here, you know, now where that came, you know, since then. But I just, I really like love that about the kind of like original women rappers from back in the day.
You know what, Candace, you made me think of something that I'd never considered. And that is, remember when we had Rap Week and we started Rap City, rap was raw and it was becoming its own. And because people doubted it, they left it alone. And once something becomes popular, everybody wants to come in, take it, and make it their own and try to change it. So when you saw MC Light, when you saw Queen Latifah, Moni Love, Antoinette, Finesse and Sinquest, and you know, Oakton, they were able to be themselves because they weren't told be this way. They had the ability. It was so organic, and people didn't know what to do with it. Sometimes the best thing to make something grow is to just leave it alone. And then it becomes popular. Everybody wants to get on the bandwagon. And now I remember when I left BET, it was because it wasn't what it was in the beginning. And it became so big. And I was like, you know, I've always been an innovator and an entrepreneur. And I always thought if this went away, could I start something else? So to me, it's always, what's the next frontier? So, you know, we were, my company and a partner of mine, and we went to college together. We were like the first people to put video online with Microsoft in 2006. It was called New Media. So we did NAACP Image Awards. We did interviews with Alicia Keys, Jamie Foxx, the cast of Grey's Anatomy. We did Clive Davis's pre-Grammy party. And back then, it was a little small window of video. It was like 320 by 240 because the pipes, you know, the upload download speed wasn't that much. And even with like XM radio in the beginning. For me, I've always tried to be an innovator. I don't want to get involved with something that already exists. I want to see energies and possibilities. So going back to, you know, being able to work with Bob Johnson and get my first job, you know, in something that nobody knew. So it's funny, and it comes about in the documentary. When I started working at BET, there was no cable in DC. So I went to Howard University, did Quiet Storm. I was Melvin Lindsay's understudy, Melvin Quiet Storm. And we also had a TV station, Channel 32. So when I got this new job, yeah, man, I got a job, full-time job. I got benefits and everything, 401k. And it's like, who you working with? I said, Black Entertainment Television. They're like, Channel 32. Because I remember they were still digging in the ground in 1984 to put cable in DC. And it was one of the chief engineer for WHUR didn't know anything that I was doing until he went home to Seattle. And he turns on and sees, it's like, that guy works with me. And they're like, what are you talking about? I said, the guy on the show, Video Vibrations, he works on my radio station. They're like, yeah, whatever. No, and that's, you know what's funny? Because I was the unseen VJ, my cousins would tell people that, you know, Alvin Jones is my cousin. Yeah, right, whatever. So I literally would get station letterhead and notes you know, hey, cousin Eddie, hey, Carl, hey, you know, Antoinette, it's your cousin Alvin saying hi. Don't forget to watch my show, so they could take it to people in the show. See, I told you.
Yeah. Nice, nice.
But if you think about it, what BET did is it gave us a chance to see people who look like us.
Mm-hmm.
So even like I said with my cousins, they're like, how you gonna have a cousin that's on TV? You know, but when you watch Rap City, you saw yourself. You saw the high top fades and the fresh gear.
Mm-hmm.
You saw people dressing the way you do and talking the way you do. And I think that was the thing that Bob achieved, is that he made it so that Black folks could see themselves and love themselves. So
Mm-hmm.
when people talk about Rap City, it's like Rap City was your babysitter when you came home. You know,
Right. Yep.
sat in front of the TV. Some people may have Barney. Some of us may have had Mr. Rogers, but a lot of folks, we had Rap City. So, you know, you had Chris Thomas, the mayor. You had
Mm-hmm.
Time, Prince Dejor, Big Les. You know, and I really like the fact that we had Big Les on the show, that a woman could represent and hold her own. Because remember, everybody knew Big Les from Living Single. She was just moving and grooving. So
Right.
inclusive that it wasn't just one person dominating. I created this, but it could not have continued without, you know, the Joe Clares, the Big Leses, the Mad Links, the Q45s, Big Tigger, who, you know what, I was just telling someone, Big Tigger's thing was he was cool. You know, women wanted to be with him, guys wanted to be like him.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't so hard. Because a lot of times, you know, especially as men, Black men, we always got to be tough. I'm going to be all right. And one of the things I think that we have in the Black community, we have mental health issues because we are not allowed to be human. We're not
Mm-hmm.
allowed to say how we feel or to express our pain. We just hold it
Right.
and we don't let it out. We don't express it. That's why we have diabetes and strokes and things, because we just don't know how to let that go. I'm telling
Mm-hmm.
you, let it go. You are perfect. You know, you are gone. It's funny, a buddy of mine, and he ain't even Black, was calling me about all of the stresses that are going on in his life. And so we what I want to see is, I want to see hip hop now. It's like the song. Now that we found love, what are you going to do with it? Let's take hip hop and use it to help the things. We've addressed the problems. We've made
Mm-hmm.
aware of the problems. Now let's solve the problems, because we now have more potential. Think about it. If you grew up on hip hop, you probably got a house, you got a 401k. We're in a better position to do things with
Mm-hmm.
our money, with our influence. For like almost 20 years, you know, Rap City lasted for 19 years. So for about 18 years, I was on Capitol Hill covering a lot of stuff on the Hill. And so I remember the first day that I got my Hill credentials, and I felt that I counted, because
Mm-hmm.
now, you know, hip hop and music is millions. These are trillions, not billions of dollars. And you start
Right.
realizing how important politics is in our life. Everything is political. Over the years, I've gone to the ALEC conference and the CPAC conferences, and I understood, the right understood, going after the local politics, be it the school boards, be it the city
Mm-hmm.
council, being it state legislators. So for us as human beings, that next thing for people of color is getting involved in your local politics. Because
Mm-hmm.
why I want to be on the school board? Because if you're not on the school board, they're gonna cancel Maya Angelou.
Right.
You know,
Exactly. Yeah.
so I had a chance to, well, I didn't have a chance. I had to be at the 60th March on Washington. I was 4 when the first
Mm-hmm.
one happened. And I'm 4, I'm watching TV, I'm trying to find my parents. It's 250,000 people. And I come to realize later, that's when I found my cause. I realized at the age of 4 that the power of media, and secondly, the need to get involved. And they always say, raise a child when he's young, when he's older, he won't depart from his ways. So anybody who has a child that's younger than 8, what you put into them will make a difference. So I
Mm-hmm.
give homage to my parents. My parents are 93 and 91. The
Wow.
other day before I came to Atlanta, I went by to see him. And it's funny, my mom was real happy. It's like, okay, when is this coming on? At what time? And, da, 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 da. And she's writing it down. Is it going to be on TV? Yeah, mom's going to be TV. What channel? And my father, who's 93, who's tough as nails still, but gentle heart, goes, I just want you to know I'm proud of you. And, you know, for my dad to be, think about it.
That
Dad,
never gets old.
Yeah, every young boy wants his dad to be proud of him.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what makes it special. But more than anything else, people are like, how do you feel about being awarded? No, I get a chance to see people whose lives I touched.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, if you are, say, if you're an obstetrician and you get to years later and you see all these people who have kids and grandkids because you delivered them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what I did is I started it, but other people took it and took it to the next level, added their flavor, and they just kept it going. So for everybody who's been involved with Rap City, from the people who ran the teleprompter to the cameramen, to just the people who ran the tapes, it was a collective effort.
Mm-hmm.
I may have had this idea, but if I couldn't convince people to come along for the ride, if I couldn't make heads or tails of this, it wouldn't have gone anywhere. So, like I said, I still give the hats off to Bob Johnson for what he did. He had a vision, and he gave me an opportunity, and he took a chance with me to be a part of that.
Yeah, I mean, it's so amazing that, you know, you were essentially just handed, like, given the go ahead and create your dream. And I just think that that's amazing.
It
And
was all a dream.
right. And so I think that you brought up something really important, which was the representation piece. And also, you know, you talked about when you got your Hill credentials, how you felt like, you know, you had a voice in this whole thing. And I just wanted to touch on, you know, myself also having reported on the Hill and in the White House. Like, it's a powerful feeling to have those credentials, number one, but also, you know, I feel like some of the ways in which we are able to get a handle on, like, how important some of the political things happening has been through hip hop, has been through, like, the lyrics, you know, and some of the songs that have been out, you know, over time. So I just wanted to raise that point and just, you know, see if you had any thoughts on that.
Oh, yes. I mean, growing up, you know, when I was growing up, you know, Rap City and hip hop may have raised a generation, but for me, it was the impressions. People get ready. There's a train that's coming. Don't even get on board. Keep on pushing. You can't hurry love. Through devotion, blessed are the children. Take it from me, someday we'll all be free. All of those songs that that gave messages. I mean, if you think about it, swing down, sweet chariot, coming forth to carry me home, that means Underground Railroad is coming. We've always used music to tell stories, to give inspiration. So hip hop was the music of that generation. And then guess what? That same thing, hands here. You know, hip hop has so much power. It has more power than it even knows. And you may think hip hop has power, but it's way beyond that. And as we get to that, as we head toward the century of hip hop, it's how hip hop can bring people together, how hip hop can address issues, because hip hop has never been afraid to say how it really feels. You know what I'm saying? We talk about what's going on, how we feel. And, you know, if you think about Don't Push Me Because I'm Close to the Edge, I'm trying not to lose my head. That's when telling you, that's a person talking to a therapist. That music is the therapist.
100%.
I make lose my mind up in here. That's music as a therapist. Or, you know, I can be as good as the best of them, bad as the worst, don't tempt me. It's like saying, this is my state of mind. This is what's going on. And that's where I see hip hop going in this next 50 years. That was the first, it's just the first, what do you call it? The first half. And people are accepting hip hop now. It's a part of the culture. People use hip hop to market. It's funny because the promo that we have that kind of introduces who I am plays the music from the message. But depending on who you are and your age, you may hear, it's like a jungle sometimes. It makes me wonder how I keep from going under. Or you may hear, because girls are players too. So it's just growing up. It's just a part of the family. It's intergenerational. And I'm looking forward to hip hop to go to that next level.
I'm interested in when you all were doing, like, the right before Rap City became like a daily show, and you all were doing the rap weeks, and, you know, BET's ratings were blowing up. What was the response from, like, MTV and VH1?
Well, VH1 didn't really care about us. All right. So here's the thing everybody wants to know, because in the rap world, there's always people talking about beefs. It was East Coast, West Coast. It was this person beef against this one.
Right.
So everybody always thought that Yo MTV Raps and BET would have a beef, raps, and it was never the case. God rest his soul, Ted Demme was the producer for Yo MTV Raps, and I met him in the Fab Five Freddy. We were shooting something down in Miami that was like right after Christmas '88. And we had a chance to talk, and just cool, because we both understood we're the only two doing this. We both understood that if this is going to work, we're going to have to work together. We're going to have to complement each other. So there was no competition, there was compliments. And I remember one time, I don't remember if it was a battery or if it was a videotape, something, either the battery died or the videotape we ran out of. And Ted Demme just went to his guy and goes, "Hey, give him one." And so it's always funny because everybody thought, oh, here comes MTV, there's BET, oh, what y'all gonna do? But what's funny? It's just like hip hop. If you think about it, with the B-boys, the breakdancing, you got this crew, and then you got that crew, and here they come in. It's gonna be a fight. No, it's gonna be a breakdance. And so instead of violence, it was victory and variety. So I just want everybody to know, BET and MTV, Yo MTV Raps, and Rap City, we were like that.
Well, thank you for setting the record straight here on Black with No Chaser.
Yeah.
I had to ask that question. I was like,
and everybody does. What's going to happen? No, here's the thing that I found. Throughout my career, the people that do the same things that I do, or we consider each other competitors, we never compete. I do video production. I edit the video piece that we put out. I had somebody else edit it. I've always found people that do the same thing in my business. We work together. We help each other out. So it's always been that way. Even through when I was doing Quiet Storm, there was a show called Slow Jams with Kevin James. And so everybody thought we were competing. And I get a call on the hotline. It's Kevin James. "Hey, man, what's going on?" I'm like, "Cool. I just played Anita Baker. You played it yet?" "Yeah, I already played it." "What about Googie and Taco Polo?" "Yeah, I'm going to play it later." "Okay, I'll play it tomorrow." And so while people are going back and forth between our radio shows, we're on the phone with each other. And so it's that respect of game respecting game, because we realized the better his show became, the better my show had to become. And the better show hit. So basically, the people who benefited were the listeners. So even with MTV, and we knew that if MTV can get an audience and we can get an audience, hip hop would thrive. So we were all moving in that same direction.
Working together for the same common cause instead of competing against each other. I love that.
And I wish Ted Demme was here, because he's one of the people that should get the accolades also. I'm glad that I'll be there. You just won't see a picture of me for 10 seconds.
Yeah. So I'm curious, out of the, I mistakenly said, alluded to almost 30 years, but 19 years that Rap City was on. Whose career do you think can you say that you definitely helped to launch? Like, they got their start. Had it not been for Rap City, maybe they wouldn't have made it as far as they have.
I can't say they wouldn't have made it as far as they would have, because talent will always rise to the top. I can say that we were fortunate enough to be a part of it. And it's funny, I was just talking to Prime, better known as Hans. And the one thing that he mentions, and I agree on that one, was Big Daddy Kane was doing Rap City, and Prime was interviewing him. And he's like, "Yo, man, this is my boy. He's a DJ. I want him to get on and do some lyrics." And he says, "Fine." So Prime goes to the producers. "What about this guy?" "We don't know him, and but this is Big Daddy Kane's guy." Because Big Daddy Kane was with us from the beginning, if you know what I mean. So he was always integral in working with us and helping us and making sure that Rap City became something. So we felt we owed him something. And so the producer at the time, because by that time I think I had moved on and started my own company, was kind of concerned. And he says, "Okay, at the end." So finally at the end, and because this guy's name was so close to the guy Jazzo, Prime wasn't going to shout his name out because he didn't want to get the name wrong. So it's at the end, and the credits are going, get ready to go, and there's Big Daddy Kane here, there's Prime here, and there's this guy who starts rapping, and his name is Jay-Z.
Wow. Wow.
So I always tell Prime is you're the person that first put Jay-Z on camera.
Wow.
And had Prime not understood the relationship that Big Daddy Kane had with BET and Rap City and pushed for that, he may not have gotten that slot. Not that Jay-Z wouldn't have been Jay-Z, but we had the honor of having Jay-Z first appear, as far as I know, and I'm saying it until somebody tells me something different, on Rap City. The other thing for me, the biggest piece was that, remember, with Rap City and BET, we wanted people to see themselves. And the other concern was everybody thought that because you were from New York or the Bronx, you were ghetto, you were hood, you were, a drug dealer, you were a thief, you were all of these things. And I wanted these rappers to have their humanity. I wanted them to be looked at as human beings and people who care. So I thought about something, and I've always tried to have empathy for other folks, especially people who are going through things that I'm not going through. So I thought about it. I said, what is really sad? And Candace, I said, what's really sad is children in the hospital. And I said, well, what's sadder than that? Children in the hospital during Christmas. So I said, we're going to do a Christmas special at Children's Hospital. Oh, wow. And so we had 7 rap acts. And it's funny, one day I'll remember all 7. I got 6. So it was Fat Boys, Chuck Chill Out and Cool Chip, MC Light, Kwame, LL Cool J. I did say Fat Boys. Who else was it? Yeah. It was 7. Run DMC.
Okay.
And there was one other group, and I always forget who it may have been De La Soul, but don't quote me. So what we did is there's an atrium in Children's Hospital. And so each rapper that came on, like MC Light had K-Rock with her. So MC had a little buddy next to her. So we wanted not only the rappers to be there, but the kids to come on TV and say hi to whoever they wanted to. Yeah. And so there's an atrium. So all the kids are looking out over and having a good time. Buffy from the Fat Boys put on a Santa Claus suit. And it was just amazing. But the other thing about it, Candace, that I really remember is that almost everybody at BET came over to help. Wow. It was a whole team effort. And, it's good to have ideas, but if you can't convince people to be a part of it, it's just in your head. So all of these things have happened because we all work together. And I know I'm a bit in left field and a little out there, but sometimes people tolerated me. So I remember one time one of the VPs says, you're talented, and that's why we tolerate you. And I'm like, wow.
But I feel like you have to have a little bit of that to be able to pull this stuff off, like
let's
creatives,
go let's go nuts. You never unless you're
you got to take the whole package.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I've always been very intense. People say, well, you take things personally. I say, well, everything I do is personal. I don't do anything without caring.
Right. Yeah. Right. So I have to tell you, and I really just learned this today, but Black with No Chaser, we also have BWNC Music and also BWNC Radio, as I said before. And our VP of music, Sika, who you'll meet later on this evening, I believe, at the reception, Solid Black, they'll both be there. But apparently, we used Rap City as a model for how to put like Black with No Chaser radio and music together. And so I really want to know, what advice would you give, or how do you see something like a Rap City-esque platform surviving and thriving in the digital age? Like now that we have, like social media, we have a streaming radio and all of these different ways for folks to tune in, get their different information and whatnot. How do you see like Rap City, like the spirit of Rap City living on in like the digital space?
You know, that's a very good question, and it's making me think now, because once something becomes popular, people want to model after it. And so one of the things, you know, this is how they did it, but sometimes what's coming up on the horizon is totally different. So the best thing I can say is keep your eyes and ears open, because you're going to have to give the people what they want in the beginning, but then once they get what they want, they're going to want something else. And I'll tell you, like I said, as I said, I've always been an innovator. So I'm gonna give you an example. When I was in high school, my senior year, which was the fall of 1976, I did morning announcements. So I always tell people, DeVal High School is where I got my broadcasting career started, right?
Okay.
So they had a turntable. So instead of using the glockenspiel, ding dong, I would play Earth, Wind and Fire or Rufus and Shaka Khan and say, please stand up for the morning announcements. Then I realized they had a radio, and I was able to send the radio to the 2 lunchrooms, right? So people would come to the lunchroom and they're listening to the radio station. And at first they're like, ooh, this is cool. After a couple of months, people complain, I don't like that radio station, play this one. So things they continue to evolve. So I'm going to say to you, do what you feel is best and just keep at that. You're going to try to compete with other folks. I mean, be open to what the trends are and make a little adjustments there and there. But sometimes, and I'll say this with Rap City, you just have to do it and keep doing it, and eventually somebody will pick it up. Like you said, you understand the value of having Capitol Hill credentials and being up at the White House. I've been able to do that also. But to the average person, they don't get it. And you're going to have to figure out how to stay consistent, how to stay passionate, how to, when it things like, nobody wants to see this, to stick with it till people finally come around. That's the thing that I look at. You know, like I said, Bob Johnson didn't want any rap music and video soul, but I had to say, I understand it, I hear it, I know that you have a concern, but I also know you have a need. So if I can listen to your concern, but also supply your need, then things change. I always tell people, talk to people about what they don't like. Hear the tough things that people have to say, because what they're also is telling you the answer to what it is they want. It's funny, whenever I go to my parents' house, if I try to get there in time to watch Jeopardy. And what I like about Jeopardy is you always get the answer, just got to ask the right question. So you know in your heart what you're doing, what you're trying to do. It may not work the way that you think it should, but just keep paying attention to it. The other thing that I realized, a lot of folks who have like very popular songs, it wasn't their favorite song.
Yeah.
It was. I remember one time a friend of mine was background singer with Shaka Khan. So we're backstage after the concert. And I'm like, hey, Alvin Jones, I was a BET, we used to play I'm Every Woman video, right? She says, I hated that song.
Oh man.
And that was before Whitney Houston redid it and the whole 9 yards. But I say to you, you understand that hip hop politics are all merging. You know, Reverend Yearwood with Hip Hop Caucus, I just met the gentleman who has hip politics. It's all changing. So it's kind of hard being a trailblazer, because guess what? You ain't got no trails to walk. You're constantly cutting stuff and getting out of the way. And there's a rock here, and oh, I stubbed my toe, and the leaf just hit me in the face. So for all the things that you're going through and all the battles, good. That means you're on the right path. You're a trailblazer. You're not walking in someone's trail. You're making a trail.
Thank you, Alvin, so much. I know you probably got to go because I know we've been talking for a while, but I definitely,
because it's funny. I like talking. So
no, this has been a great conversation.
Yeah, unless somebody tells me I got to go, I'm here. I just whatever you want. Yeah.
Well, I definitely don't want to let you go without plugging your upcoming documentary for sure.
Well, it's not it's BET's documentary and it's Mass Appeal. They put the documentary together.
Okay.
And I had a chance to see the first segment of the first hour, and I was like blown away because they're talking about this in shape. It was like being in a history class. And I never saw it from that perspective, because when you're in the frame, you can't see the. And so we don't see the effect that we're having on folks. And so with Reaganomics and Bush coming in and the crack epidemic and all these things going on, BET was important so that we could have a voice. So I remember, like I said, I'm 64. I remember I used to be able to stay up late as a kid, past bedtime, if somebody Black was on TV. And to go from being able to stay past your bedtime because, hey, somebody's Black on TV, to working with a network where 24 hours of, Blackness is amazing. I thank God for that. I thank my parents, my family, who's always been very supportive of me. So I live in gratitude. So this whole thing for me is not being celebrated. It's about me having gratitude and being able to meet people who've gotten something from what I've done.
And where can we find BET's documentary about your legacy? Like, it'll be released, is it next week?
Yeah, it's going to air Tuesday, October 10th, 8 p.m. And that's the 3 parts. So it airs Tuesday, October 10th, Wednesday, October 11th, and Thursday, October 12th. And the first night from 8 to 9, and then the Hip Hop Awards come up on the 10th that night. So, it's funny when you say my legacy. It's like, it's hard to take in because I don't consider it mine. It was everybody's, if you know what I'm saying. I had the idea, I pushed it, but it had to work. The audience had to accept it. The artist had to get behind it. So it's more of a co-op. I'm not an owner. I'm kind of more of a trustee, But my new hashtag is probably Rap City Creator. So when I go to my family reunions, the youngins will be able to go, oh, that's my cousin. It's nothing like being accepted when you go to your family reunion. So if you ever been to a family reunion, there's some people you just don't look. You don't want to be around that person. But that's your cousin. Yeah, but yeah.
You'd be like, oh, we're related? Oh, shoot.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay. Last question. I want to end on a fun note.
This has all been fun. I want you to know.
Yeah, it's been a great conversation. I mean, like you said, like I could continue talking as well. But
Oh yeah. I mean, this is the first. Look, you and I, we're gonna sit down. We're gonna have some orange juice, or a martini, or a smoothie, and just catch up because we're so close to each other. We're only like about 3.
Yeah, we're not that far at all.
Stops away. Yeah, I'm right by Union Station, and you're up by
by Catholic. Yeah, so I can't wait.
Boys.
Right? Yes, bus boys. Yes. So let's see. Top 3 artists, if you can, that you've worked with, or like top 3 favorite artists that you've worked with over.
We ain't doing that. Somebody's trying to do that. No. Ain't doing it.
Okay, fair enough.
Ain't not doing it. Not doing it.
Fair enough. Snitch. Yeah, we don't need those issues. Okay.
No, I mean, how do you narrow that? Look, let me explain something to you. It's like when they said you can have one guest. Everybody's like, "Who you taking? Who you taking?" I'm like, "I'm taking my nephew."
Okay.
And besides, I don't have children, so when I get older, somebody's gonna need to take care of Uncle Alvin. So David will be with me.
You taking your nephew?
I'm taking my nephew. You can't get in trouble with nobody.
That's right. Well, Alvin, thank you so much again for spending time with the Black with No Chaser family. This was such a great conversation. I can't wait to catch up with you, after this off air, and just continued success, and congratulations again on this honor. It was really a pleasure speaking.
No, it's my honor, and thank you for having me on the show. Thank you for what you're doing. This is what you're doing. I know it's a hard work. I know sometimes you're like, why am I doing this? And here's the thing. How everybody thinks this is glamorous? It ain't glamorous.
No. It's not. Once you get in it, then you realize,
No, because, when I left, people like, how can you? I'm like, listen, I've been here for 7 years. Plus, I was working 7 days a week. You see what I'm saying? And not, like I told you, my aunt who was, 89 at the time. The one thing I wanted to do is spend time with my family. You miss family events. You miss the weddings. You miss the birthday parties, just the hanging out. Even there, getting together and playing bid whisk or Uno as we play in our family.
Mm-hmm.
You miss those things. And my aunt was 92 when I left BET in 91. Mm-hmm. And I said to her, every year that you have a birthday, I'll be there. She lived to be 101 years old.
Wow.
And I got to tell you, the hardest thing to do was to leave BET. I called in sick for a week. I had to decide if I was going to move forward to the next chapter in my life. Mm-hmm. It was almost like a divorce. Well, not a divorce, because divorce, you want to get rid of somebody. But it was saying goodbye to something that you felt very passionate about, but knew that you had to go to that next chapter. And it was so tough on me. I did something crazy, which I probably shouldn't have done. I didn't think about it at the time. I resigned to Bob Johnson because I wanted Bob to know directly from me why I was leaving, why I thought that was important to make that move, mm-hmm. and that I really appreciated the fact that he gave me an opportunity. And I figured Bob would understand, as a person who had worked for a congressman and for a lobbying group when he started BET, that you have this thing in you and you just gotta go. And I'm so glad that Rap City was able to continue for 19 years. At least I felt that I didn't abandon it, and there were other people who got behind it and loved it. But yeah, that was, like I said, my stomach was turning for the whole week from Monday to Friday to decide, is it time to go? Can you stay? You're having fun. Everybody knows you. You're doing great things, but is it time to do the next episode? And I say that because there's some people now who are probably going, I like this, but I want to do something else. Mm-hmm. Do it now. Don't have any regrets. Take that big step. It's scary. Candace, you know what I did right after I left BET?
What's that?
I went skydiving.
Oh, wow.
I went skydiving. That was my way. It's like, okay. And I remember I took all my bills and put them on the dining room table. Mm-hmm. And I looked at them and said, see you when I get back. But yeah, if you can't, if things are, go skydiving. I got to go skydiving again. Because I figured if I could take a leap out of a plane, I could take a leap on my career.
Mm-hmm. And you bet on yourself.
Yeah. Well, Bob bet on me in the beginning, so it was time to bet on myself. Yeah. And
I take it that Bob was supportive of your decision.
Yeah. Actually, he was. Because here's the thing, Bob was always very supportive of me. Mm-hmm. I always tell people my best day at BET was my worst day at BET. We had an annual meeting, and Bob said, I consider Alvin the best music programmer in the country. And that meant that everybody else is like, oh, really? So it was a great thing to hear, but people are competitive. It's like, well, who do you think he is? And But his undying faith in me, his undying respect. I remember one time I was in a sporting goods store and I hear somebody goes, unseen VJ, and it was Bob Johnson. Here's a man who's a billionaire who will see you somewhere and call your name. That's the ultimate respect. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, again, this has been such a wonderful conversation, Alvin. Thank you again for joining us. I know our Black with No Chaser family will love to, see this interview once it's aired and everything like that. So we just appreciate you so much.
and I was here.
Yeah. So we just appreciate you so much. And please stop by anytime. I'm sure this will not be the last time that we have you on.
No Black with No Chaser.